Good day to all of you. This is your teacher Daniel, and today pag-aaralan natin yung iba pang mga basic factoring patterns. Pangatlong pag-aaralan natin ay may kinalaman sa sum and difference of two cubes. So napag-aaralan na natin yung greatest common monomial factor, difference of two squares. Pagtutuunan naman natin ng pansin itong sa sum and difference of two cubes. Pero bago yan, balikan uli muna natin yung napag-aralan nyo ng grade 7. Tinuruan kayo kung paano mag-multiply ng mga polynomials. Just like what we have here, we have a binomial and a trinomial. So let's say we're going to multiply them using distributive property. A times a squared is a cube. A times negative 4a, positive times negative is negative. A times negative 4a, that will be 4a squared. A times positive 16, that will be positive 16a. How about here? Let's say you have positive 4 times a squared, that will be positive 4a squared. 4 times negative 4a, that will be negative 16a, and 4 times positive 16, that will be positive 64. Yan. Now, tapos natin gamitin yung distributive property. Syempre, medyo magulo pa yung kasi ang haba, haba nung naging product natin. Ang gagawin natin, pipiliin natin yung mga similar terms and titingnan natin kung pwede silang i-combine, pwede silang i-deduct, pwede silang i-minus para mas umikli yung ating expression. So in this case, we have negative 4a squared and positive 4a squared. So usually, negative 4 plus 4 is 0. I-multiply mo yan sa a squared, that is also 0. And ang ginagawa natin dito, if you have similar almost very much likely a similar term, ang ginagawa natin dito, yung isa negative, yung isa positive, kinakancel na lang po natin, so in this case we cancel negative 4a squared kasi yung isa positive 4a squared. Now we have another similar term, 16a and negative 16a. They are very much the same term except yung isa positive, yung isa negative. At kung i-evaluate mo yan, positive 16 and negative 16, or positive 16 minus 16, that is 0, i-times mo sa a, 0 pa rin. So, ang nakagawian na nating i-cancel na lang tong mga ganitong term, let us just cancel them out because they are just zeros. So, what is left? Ang natira sa atin is itong dalawang to. A cube plus 64. Yan. Etong a cube plus 64, ito yung tinatawag nating sum of two cubes. Paano yung isa, yung difference of two cubes? Yung difference of two cubes, syempre, minus lang naman yan yung nasa gitna. So, mamaya, mas popokusan natin yung anong pinagkaiba ng dalawang technique. Yan. Now, paano natin nasabing sum of two cubes sila? Kasi, yung first term, perfect cube siya. Yung second term, perfect cube din siya. Kung babalikan natin yung mga numbers na mga perfect cube, 64 is this also the same as 4 times 4 times 4, or that will be equivalent to 4 cube, and that is equivalent to 64. Therefore, 64 is a perfect cube. So, sum of two cubes. Yun yung itsura niya. Yung isa naman, yung tinatawag nating difference of two cubes. Yan. the difference of two cubes. Kung ang itsura niya, difference of two cubes, ganito lang yan, a cube minus 64. Okay, so mamaya, i-discuss natin kung ano yung pinagkaiba ng dalawa at paano sila ginagamit, paano ginagamit tong technique na to in factoring. Now, let's say, ito pa rin yung example natin kanina, no? a cube plus 64. Kung si a cube plus 64, i-divide natin kay a plus 4. Ano kaya yung magiging result using long division method? Sir, bakit kailangan pa ba natin gawin yan, yung long division method? Well, in some cases, in many few cases, the usual method na ginagamit natin para kunin yung factors is we divide. Ayan, we divide. So, let's say you have 6, you have a number 6 and you want to know the factors. You can divide them by numbers like 2, 3 and 6. So in this case, if you want to get the factor of 6, the old method is to divide this by either 2 or 3. If we divide it by 3, alam naman natin yung factor niya 6, which is 2, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then multiply it by 3 times 2, that is 6, then subtract, so that is 0. Or we divide 6 by 2, so that will be 6 divided by 2 is 3 times 2 is 6, subtract them, that is 0. Napaka old method na to, and in most cases napaka impractical din gamitin, pero subukan lang natin, lalo na dun sa mga hindi pa marunong mag long division method. I hope makadagdag to ng karunungan sa inyo, dagdag knowledge kung paano nga ba tayo nag long method division, especially ng mga polynomials. Ito na siguro yung pinaka basic at pinaka old method ng pag-factor. So, and sometimes ito rin yung pinaka-impractical din gamitin. I hope you could still bear with me. It is just my opinion, pero sa tingin ko ito na yung madalas na hindi ginagamit. Ayan. Okay, para naman dun sa mga curious kung paano tayo naglo-long method division, lagi-lagi nyong isasantabi muna si positive 4. Focusan lang natin si a at saka yung kung ano yung i-divide natin sa loob. Let's say a cube divided by a. So a cube divided by a. If you are dividing variables or exponential terms, you subtract their exponent, that is, copy the common base and subtract the exponent. 3 minus 1, that will be equivalent to a squared. O tapos, paano si 4? Hayaan nyo si 4, hayaan nyo lang yan. Imumultiply na lang natin si a squared by the quantity a plus 4. Ganun natin ginagawa yung long method division. So, subukan natin. Let us try to multiply. A squared times a is a cube. A squared times positive 4 is positive 4a squared. Pero dito ko siya isusulat sa labas. Positive 4a squared. Kasi mahirap naman kung ihilera ko siya kay 64 because they are not similar terms. Hindi natin sila ma-evaluate. So, for the meantime, ilabas ko na lang muna siya. And then we will proceed to subtraction. If you are subtracting polynomials, you are going to proceed to addition and then change the sign of the subtrahend. Yung dating positive a cube, ginawa nating negative. Yung dating positive 4a squared, gagawin din nating negative. Babaliktarin natin yung kanilang sign. So in this case, hindi na tayo magsusubtract. Mag-add na tayo. Oh sir, bakit ganon? Kasi subtracting, naalala nyo dati yung rule natin nung tayo grade 7, subtracting terms, subtracting integers is the same as adding its opposite. Ganun po. So in this case, we subtract, we proceed to addition and change the sign of the subtrahend. So a cube plus negative a cube is 0. So let us just cancel them out. What is left is or bring down negative 4a squared plus 64. Tapos continue uli natin yung ating pag-divide. Negative 4a squared divided by a. So, negative 4a squared divided by a. Remember, yung numerical coefficient dito ni a is 1 lang. So, negative 4 divided by 1 is negative 4. Negative 4. How about a squared divided by a? So, i-minus lang natin yung kanilang i-minus lang natin yung kanilang what is this? Exponent. So, that is negative 4a to minus 1. Ganon. So, that is negative 4a raised to 1. No need to write 1. So, that will be negative 4a. Oh, hindi uli natin na sinantabi uli natin si positive 4, pero this time i-multiply na natin sa binomial. So negative 4a times a, that is negative 4a squared, and then negative 4a times 4, that will be your what is this? You are multiplying negative and positive, that will be negative. 4 times 4 is 16, and a. Again, we're going to subtract, but since subtraction is the same as adding the opposite of the subtrahend, therefore we will proceed to addition and then change the sign of the subtrahend. Yung mga dating negative, gagawin nating positive. So in this case, negative 4a squared plus 4a squared, or positive 4a squared, they are 0 because negative 4 plus 4 is 0 times a squared, 0 pa rin. So we will just cancel them out. Cancel. How about this? O pwede ba natin silang i-add? Hindi kasi they are not the same terms. So lalabas natin siya. That is 16a. Okay, so let us bring down those terms. We have 16a plus 64. Now, anong gagawin natin sa susunod? Ang susunod natin gagawin, ganun pa rin, i-divide pa rin natin. Positive 16a divided by a, that will be 16a divided by a. So a divided by a is 1. Cancel them out. So that will be 16. So you are dividing two positive numbers. That will be positive. 16a divided by a is 16. 6. Tapos multiply uli natin. Kanina hindi natin pinansin si 4. Ngayon naman, multiply na natin siya sa binomial. So 16 times a, that will be 16a, and then 16 times 4 is equivalent to positive 64. Now, since we are subtracting, we are going to subtract this expression. We will proceed to addition and then change the sign of the subtrahend. So 16a minus 16a, they are 0. 64 minus 64, or 64 plus negative 64, that is 0. So the remainder is 0. Alam naman na kasi natin yung sagot kasi ito rin yung example natin kanina, a cubed plus 64. Alam natin na wala siyang remainder. Therefore, we can conclude that a cubed plus 64 has a factor na quantity a plus 4 times a squared minus 4a plus 16. Okay, so I hope nakatulong sa inyo yung natin yung ating long division method in getting the factor of a cube plus 64. Pero hindi siya hindi natin, sabi ko nga kanina, hindi natin siya maaasahan. It's not a dependable method from time to time. Kasi malay nyo may remainder, di ba? So hindi natin masabi, o kaya ano ba siya, factorable ba siya kay a plus 4 talaga? Sometimes hindi natin masabing ganun. So, gagamit na lang tayo ng ibang method. Ang gagamitin nating method, itong tinatawag na cube root square product square technique. O, paano ginagawa yan? Wala, burahin ko lang to. Okay. Cube root square product square technique. So, if we want to factor a cube plus 64 without undergoing long division method, we're going to use factoring technique. Yung factoring technique that pertains to the sum and or difference of two cubes. So, let's say we would like to factor a cube plus 64. Ang gagawin natin, una, kunin muna natin yung cube root. Cube root ng ano? Cube root ng first term at saka cube root ng second term. Since these two terms are perfect cubes, madali lang natin makikita or masosolve yung kanyang cube root. So, what is the cube root of a cube? What is the cube root of a cube? What is the cube root of a cube? The cube root of a cube is a. Plus, kopyahin natin yung sign niya, no? So, kinopya lang natin. Pinatter natin doon. Ayun. Alam naman kasi natin na yung magiging sagot niya is a binomial and a trinomial. So, automatic. We will have here a binomial and a trinomial. Ganun po ang mangyayari. Now, what is the cube root of 64? Again, 64 is the same as 4 times 4 times 4. It's the same as 4 cube. That is the same as 64. So the cube root of 64, the cube root of 64 is equivalent to 4. Yan. Burahin ko lang to. The cube root of 64 is 4. Is 4. Okay, so tapos na natin kunin yung cube root ng bawat term. Ano yung susunod natin gagawin for this technique? Ano yung susunod natin gagawin? Kukunin natin yung square product, yung tinatawag na square product square. So, paano ginagawa yun? Una, tatakpan natin to. Ayan na, takpan natin. In this case, burahin ko na lang para hindi tayo malito. Takpan natin yan. Ang pagtuunan natin na pansin, itong si a plus 4. Okay? So, what is the square of the first term? The square of the first term is a squared. Wag na muna nating pansinin yung operation. Itong operation na to, wag na lang natin munang pansinin yan. What is the square of the second term? 4. What is the square of 4? The square of 4 is 16. Again, regardless of the sign or the operation in between the binomial, pabiyaan nyo na lang muna yan. Basta square nyo lang yung number, yung second term. Now, what is the product? Ayan. So, ayun yung nasa gitna, no? Product. What is the product of each term? Or the product of the terms in the binomial regardless of their sign. So, that will be 4a. And in this pattern, pag positive to mga langga, itong huwag nyo kakalimutan. Pag positive dyan sa gitna, yung gitna ng trinomial dapat negative. Paano pagka negative yung gitna? Bawa, a minus 4. Syempre, ang gagawin natin, positive yung gitna. Positive 4a. Okay? Okay, burahin ko para hindi kayo malito. Again, ang ginawa natin, una, kinuha natin yung cube root. Kinuha natin yung cube root. A cube plus 64. Kinuha natin yung cube root ng bawat term. Ito yon, a at saka 4. And then, tinakpan muna natin itong si a cube plus 64. Mas pinagtuunan natin ng pansin mas pinagtuunan natin ng pansin itong si A plus 4. Kinuha natin yung square ni A squared. Kinuha natin yung square ni 4, that is 16. At saka kinuha natin yung product ni 4 at saka ni A, that is 4A. And then, ang ginawa natin, yung gitnang term, ginawa nating negative. Kung positive dun sa A plus 4, dapat yung middle term ng trinomial, negative. Paano dito? Between 4A and 16, what will be the operation? The operation there is just always positive. So, the factor of A cubed plus 64 is equivalent to the quantity A plus 4 times the quantity A squared minus 4A plus 16. Okay, subukan natin kung effective yung technique na nagawa natin or nabuo natin in factoring other sum or difference of two cubes. So in this case, you have A plus B or the quantity A plus B times the quantity A squared minus AB plus B squared. So what will be the product? The product will be A times A squared is A cubed. A times negative AB is negative A squared B. A times B squared, that will be positive AB squared. Yan. Yung next term, B times A squared will be positive A squared B. B times negative AB is negative AB squared, and B times B squared will be, or B times positive B squared, that will be positive B cubed. Ina-add lang natin yung mga ina-add lang natin yung mga exponent nila pag pareho yung base. Sige. Ngayon, silipin natin kung may mga pare-pareho siyang term. Or yung may maka-cancel ba tayo. Negative A squared B and positive A squared B. So, we'll just cancel this out because it is 0. Positive AB squared and negative AB squared. Again, they are 0. So, we'll just cancel it out. Ang matitira na lang is A cubed plus B cubed. We call this the sum of two cubes. And the factor of the sum of two cubes is a binomial and a trinomial. Yun yung pinaka explanation dyan. The factor, wag nyo lang kalimutan, the factor of sum of two cubes is a binomial and a trinomial. How about this? Paano to? Okay, so we'll try to discover out ito yung the difference of two cubes. So subukan natin. A minus B, or the quantity A minus B times A squared plus AB plus B squared. So that will be A times A squared, that will be, you add the exponent, that will be A cubed. A times positive AB, positive diretso. A times AB is A squared B. Yung pangatlo, yan. A times B squared, again positive so diretso positive. Positive times positive is positive. A times B squared is AB squared. Okay, so meron na. Next, negative B times positive is negative. Negative B times A squared is negative A squared B. Good. And negative times positive uli, negative uli. So, negative B times AB, that will be negative A, sorry po. Ayaw na niya mabura. Negative B times positive AB, that will be negative AB squared. And negative, yan, negative times positive, again, negative uli, B times B squared, that will be B cubed. We just add the exponent if they have the same basis. Now, let us try to distinguish the similar terms. So, you have positive A squared B, this, and negative A squared B, this. Since both of them have opposite signs, but they are very much likely the same term, so we'll just cancel it out because they are zeros. As well as AB squared and negative AB squared. Sa mga nagtatanong bakit nasa zero yan, remember that we have here 1. We have here 1. Positive 1 minus 1 is 0. 0 times AB squared is 0. So, since they are 0, we'll just cancel them out. Okay. So, what is left? Ang natira sa atin ngayon is A cubed minus B cubed. O, ito naman yung tinatawag nating difference of two cubes. So, ito ngayon yung ating magiging bagong rule, ano? Magiging bagong rule natin in factoring sum and difference of two cubes. So, let us have few more examples of on how to factor sum or difference of two cubes. So, in this case, we have 64 minus W cubed. And we're going to employ, gagamitin natin yung cube root, square product, square technique. So, again, paano nga uli yun? Kunin natin yung cube root nung first term, the cube root of 64, tsaka yung cube root nung second term. So, what will be the cube root of 64? The cube root of 64 is 4. You can always check the cube root of 64 using your calculators, or we can employ we can employ properties in exponents. So, let's say we want to apply the property in exponent 64, or the cube root of 64 is the same as the cube root of 4 cube. Yan. And since alam naman natin yung cube root, ano, yung cube root, just like square roots, let's say the cube root of x, alam naman natin na it could also be expressed as fractional exponent. So, that is also the same as x raised to 1/3. O, yung 3 na pupunta sa denominator. So, in this case, we have 4 raised to 3 over yung root 3. And 4 raised to 3 over 3, that will be 4 raised to 1. No need to write 1. So, the cube root of 64 is 4. Basically, the cube root of 64 is 4. How about the cube root of W cube? The cube root of W cube, in terms of fractional exponent, ano? So, that is also equivalent to W raised to 3 over 3. And that is the same as W raised to 1. Or the cube root of W cube is W. Since nakuha na natin yung mga cube roots, 4 and W, ito yung pinaka A term natin, ito naman yung pinaka B term natin. So, ready na tayo ipakita yung magiging factors ni 64 minus W cube. So, 64 minus W cube is the same as the quantity 4 minus W. Again, tatakpan uli natin tong si 64 minus W cube para hindi tayo malito kasi syempre magkatabi sila. Baka kasi ang kinukuha yung squares yung nasa problem. Hindi po ito po yung pupukusan natin, si 4 minus W cube. So much better na takpan na lang natin yan. So you have 4 minus w, or the quantity 4 minus w again. Tapos na tayong mag cube root. Ang gagawin naman natin, square product square. So what will be the square of 4? The square of 4 is 16. While yung square naman ni w, regardless of its sign, or regardless of the operation or sign of w, that will be w squared. How about the middle term? The middle term will be the product. The product of what? The product of the terms in the binomial, and that is 4w. Now, since minus dito, kung naalala nyo, na-share ko sa inyo, pagka positive sa gitna, negative yung middle term. Pagka naman negative yung gitna, lahat yan positive. Yun ang kagandahan yan. Okay, so the factor of 64 minus w cubed is equivalent to the polynomials, a binomial 4 minus w times a trinomial 16 plus 4w plus w squared. Let us have a few more examples. Let's say we are going to factor n raised to 3p minus 3 raised to r raised to 3s. Again, n raised to 3p minus r raised to 3s. So, medyo kabado tayo kasi meron tayong monomial sa exponent. Madali lang yan. Gagamitin uli natin yung property ng powers of powers. So, if you have n raised to 3p, that is the same as n raised to 3 raised to the power of p to another power of p, that is also equivalent to n raised to p raised to another power of 3. While ganun din si r raised to 3s, r raised to 3s is equivalent to r raised to 3 raised to another power of s, or can also say r raised to s, that is also raised to another power of 3. R raised to s raised to another power of 3. Power of powers, yun ang tawag dyan. Now, syempre powers of power pa lang yan. Power of powers pa lang yan, sorry. Gagawin natin, kukunin natin yung cube root. So what will be the cube root? The cube root of n p raised to another power, n raised to p raised to another power of 3. The cube root will be n raised to p. How about the cube root of r raised to s raised to another power of 3? So the cube root will be, again, kinakancel lang naman yan, cube root, kasi in terms of fractional exponent, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So you have r raised to s. Now, since meron na tayong mga cube roots, ready na tayo uling mag-compute, mag-solve, mag-evaluate nung factor ni n raised to 3p minus r raised to 3s. So what will be the factor? The factor will be n raised to p minus r raised to s. That will be our binomial. Yung pinaka-trinomial naman natin, ayan, yung pinaka-trinomial natin, subukan natin. Again, tatakpan uli natin yung problem, yung original problem, and we will focus more on the binomial. We are going to use the square product square. So what will be the square of n raised to p? N raised to p squared. So that will be n raised to 2p, as well as what will be the square of r raised to s? R raised to s raised to another power of 2, that will be r raised to 2s. Ayan. So n raised to 2p sa kabila, r raised to 2s. Regardless of the sign lang muna ha. Huwag muna nating pansinin yung sign. Yan. Huwag muna nating pansinin yan. Okay, how about the middle term? The middle term is simply the product of the terms in the binomial. So that would be n raised to p r raised to s. Yan. Oh, how about the sign? What will be the sign? O, yung sign natin, since negative dito sa gitna, negative dyan, napag-usapan natin, pag negative dyan, yung middle term, positive. The rest are positive. So, that will be positive, positive. Yun yung ating pinaka-technique. So, therefore, the factor of n raised to 3p minus r raised to 3s is equivalent to the binomial and a trinomial, the quantity n raised to p minus r raised to s times the trinomial n raised to 2p plus n raised to p r raised to s plus r raised to 2s. Let us have another example. Ayun, mas maraming example, mas maganda, di ba? Okay. How are we going to factor 8 over 27 plus y raised to 6? So, gagamitan uli natin siya ng property, Gagamitan uli natin siya ng property. Exponential properties is in exponents. Properties in exponents. So, let's try. Say you have 8 over 27. So, alam naman natin na si 8 is a perfect cube and si 27 is also a perfect cube. 8 is equivalent to 2 times 2 times 2. Si 27 naman, that is 3 times 3 times 3. So, therefore, that will become 2 raised to 2. Ay, sorry. Not 2 raised to 2. 2 raised to 3. Yan. Over 3 raised to 3. And since both of them, the numerator and denominator is raised to 3, therefore, it is the same as 2/3. The quantity 2/3 raised to 3. Okay. Now, what will be the cube root? So, what is the cube root of the quantity 2/3 raised to 3? So, madali na lang siya, madaling na lang. We'll just cancel this out because in terms of fractional exponent, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So, what is left is 2/3. Now, what will be the cube root of y raised to 6? Again, we can make use of the fractional exponent as our pinaka property natin. So, katulad din yan nung difference of two squares na dinidivide natin by 2. Ang sekreto nun, dinidivide lang natin by 2 yung mga exponent ng variables. Dito naman, instead of dividing by 2, ang pinakamadaling gawin is i-divide natin sa 3. Subukan natin. So, the cube root of y raised to 6 will be y, that is the same as the fractional exponent y raised to 6 divided by 3. Denominator, yung root. Yan. So, what is 6 divided by 3? That is y squared. Okay, so meron na tayong mga roots. Ayan, meron na tayong mga roots. Ready na ulit tayong mag-factor. So, we have 8 over 27 plus y raised to 6. The factor will be a binomial, which is 2/3 plus y squared. How about the trinomial? For the trinomial term, we will have, what is the square of 2/3? The square of 2/3, 2 times 2, 4, 3 times 3, 9. That will be 4 over 9. That will be the first term of the trinomial. The third term of the trinomial, we are going to square again y squared. So, what is the square? What is the square of y squared? That will be 2 times 2, that is 4. Y raised to 4. So, y raised to 4. And what will be our middle term? Again, basta takpan nyo yung problem para hindi tayo malito. Ito yung focus natin. Yung binomial. So, what will be the product of the terms that will become our middle term later on. So 2/3 y squared. The last but not the least, syempre, yung magiging sign. Okay. So, again, napag-usapan natin uli na pagka positive dyan, pag positive dyan, si middle term, negative, and the rest are positive. Okay. So, the factor, linisin lang natin. The factor of 8/27 plus y raised to 6 is equivalent to 2/3 plus y squared times the quantity or times the trinomial 4/9 minus 2/3 y squared plus y to the 4th. Okay, as promised, bawat factoring technique natin, mag-share ako ng factoring by grouping, kahit isa lang. So, in this case, we have a problem wherein hindi natin siya basta-bastang mapa-factor, not unless gamitan natin ng factoring by grouping technique. So, higit sa lahat, mapapansin nyo na si A walang Y, si Y walang A, tapos si A squared walang Y, si Y squared walang A. So, it gives you a hint na baka mag-grouping muna tayo dito bago natin malaman yung factor. So, in this case, we are going to group the expression A cubed plus Y cubed. Let us group that. Tapos, plus, huwag kakalimutan yung plus sa gitna. Importante yan. And since plus naman siya, so safe na safe tayong mag-group. Safe na safe nating may group si A squared minus AY plus Y squared. Wala tayong dapat ikabahala. Not unless negative yan. Pag negative yan, babaliktad yung mga signs sa loob. Okay? Now, since we were able to group it, let us now try to factor or to figure out some factors. So, sa tingin nyo, may factor itong si A cubed plus Y cubed? Meron. That is by means of the sum of two cubes. So, the factor will be A plus Y times the quantity A squared minus AY plus Y squared. O again, pag positive dun sa binomial, negative sa middle term ng trinomial. Plus, kasi pinactor lang naman natin to Ito yun di ba? Pinactor lang naman natin siya. Plus, copy natin. Copy A squared minus AY plus Y squared. Walang nagbago sa kanya. Next. Okay, so we have that kind of polynomial. Wow, grabe, ang haba. Mahaba ba? Hindi, maikli pa yan. Actually, may mas mahahaba pa dyan. Pero siguro ko, ito na yung mga pinaka-basic sa factoring by grouping. Pinapakita ko sa inyo. So, lang kayo mabahala kasi nandito naman si Teacher Daniel. Now, kung mapansin nyo, meron tayong common quantity na naman. Ayan. Sa gitna nitong plus. Ayan. Sa gitna niyang plus, meron tayong mga common quantities. Wow! So, ibig sabihin yan, pagka group natin to lahat, meron tayong mailalabas sa pinakalabas. Ayan. At ang mailalabas natin ay A squared minus AY plus Y squared. At yung matitira sa loob ng bracket, ito na lang. Ito, tsaka ito. Okay, subukan natin. A plus Y. Paano dito? Wala naman nakasulat, diba? Kasi nga, nilabas natin yung quantity. Ano kayo natira sa loob? Gagawin lang natin kasi mga langga. I-divide lang natin. So, A squared minus AY plus Y squared divided by A squared minus AY plus Y squared. So, that will be 1, diba? Because you are dividing the same quantity. Therefore, ang natira dyan, 1 na lang. Okay. O, linisin natin kasi may bracket pa tayo. Ayan. So, that will be A squared minus AY plus Y squared times the quantity. Let us remove the grouping symbols. And instead of using bracket, para hindi siya nakakatakot, gamit na lang tayo ng parentheses. So that will be, after removing the grouping symbols, or removing the bracket, replacing it by parentheses, a plus y plus 1. So, the factor of a cubed plus y cubed plus a squared minus ay plus y squared is equivalent to the quantity, or the equivalent to the trinomials a squared minus ay plus y squared times the trinomial a plus y plus 1. Okay, this time, we're going to have a drill wherein I want you to tell the factors mentally. Pero bago muna yan, alamin muna natin yung mga perfect cube numbers. Yun kasi yung makakatulong sa atin in finding the cube root nung mga numerical coefficients. Yun naman kasi lang naman din ang madalas na mahirap dyan yung numbers. Walang problema sa variables kasi all we have to do is to divide it by 3. Minsan, or madalas, namamblema tayo dun sa mga numbers. So, let us try. What is 1 cube? 1 cube is just 1. 1 times 1 times 1. How about 2 cube? 2 cube is just 2 times 2 times 2, that is 8. How about 3 cube? That is 27. That is 3 times 3, 9 times 3, that is 27. So, bakit natin ginaganito? Kasi, for us to familiarize with the perfect cube numbers para hindi tayo mahirapan later on sa mga gagawin nating factoring technique. Especially, in this case, we are factoring sum and difference of two cubes. Minsan, masyadong malaki yung numerical coefficients na i-cube root natin. So, mas maganda siguro na familiar tayo dun sa mga perfect cube numbers. And how about 4? 4 cube, that is 4 times 4 times 4, that is 64. 5 cube is the same as 125. That is 5 times 5, 25. 5, 25, that is 125. How about 6? 6 times 6 times 6, that will be 216. How about 7? 7 times 7 is 49 times another 7, that will be 343. How about 8? 8 times 8 times 8, that will be 512. 512? Yes, we are correct. So 512. How about 9? 9 cube is just 729, and 10 cube, that is 10 times 10 times 10, that is 1,000. O, pwede pa natin yan dugtungan, 11 times 11 times 11, or 12 cube, 13 cube. Pero in most cases, most of the time, ito naman yung madalas natin nakikita sa mga problems nating involving sum and difference of two cubes. So, now that we are familiar with this perfect cube numbers, ready na tayong mag-factor. Now, how about the variables? Yung variables naman, ang gagawin lang natin, i-divide lang natin yung exponent by 3 to get the cube root. Okay, so subukan natin yung una. Mentally, what will be, or what is the factor of a cube minus z cube? So that will be, first, ang magiging result niyan, kasi alam naman natin, ang magiging result niyan, the product of a binomial and a trinomial. So, a binomial and a trinomial. So, we have, what will be the cube root of a cube? The cube root of a cube is just a. Kasi di-divide lang naman natin yan, di ba? By 3. Or, we will just cancel it out because, what is this? Kapareho lang din naman yan ng, ng fractional exponent na 3 over 3. And that is a raised to 1. So, no need to write 1. So, the cube root of a is, the cube root of a cube is a. Kinakancel na lang natin yung cube roots at saka yung cube. Ayan, ganyan. So, the cube root of a is, the cube root of a cube is a. The cube root of z cube, again, divide lang natin yung exponent ni z by 3, that will be 1. So, that will be z, or simply cancel this. Ayan, cancel na lang po natin. So since we already have the roots, the cube roots, we are now ready to state the factor. So that will be a minus z, gagayahin natin yung sa problem, and isasantabi muna natin yung problem as much as possible, tatakpan natin, popokusan natin yung binomial, and then we're going to use the square product square rule. So what is the square of the first term? That will be a squared. What is the square of the second term? That will be z squared. And what will be our middle term? Our middle term will be the product of the terms in the binomial. That will be az, regardless of the sign. Now, let us try to, the last rule that we are going to follow is that pag minus yung gitna, or minus yung operation sa binomial, plus, kabaliktaran, kabaliktaran lang lagi, plus yung sign ni middle term. The rest is plus. Ganon. Check natin kung tama tayo. Ayan, so tama tayo. How about y cube plus 8? Ayan, so meron tayong number, We're now involving a perfect cube number because 8 is a perfect cube number. Ito po yun. Okay, susubukan natin. That will be the cube root of y cube. That will be y. Di-divide lang natin yan. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Plus, what is the cube root of 8? The cube root of 8 is 2. Okay. And what will be our trinomial? The trinomial will be, ito na yung pupukusan natin, Yan. Y squared. Ano yung square ni 2? That is 4. Ano yung middle term? 2y. Product ng terms ng binomial. At ano yung magiging sign ng ating middle term? That will be minus or negative. The rest are plus. Ganun lang kasimple. Tingnan natin kung tama yung factors natin. Okay, so tama, y plus 2 times the quantitative y squared minus 2y plus 4. Now, let us try another number. So, ang gagawin natin dito sa drill natin, as we go on with our exercises, makikita niyo yung problem. Now, ang gagawin niyo naman sa bahay, uulitin niyo yung video, tapos subukan niyo mag-factor kayo lang kung na-master niyo ba yung rule. Tapos, pag hindi kayo sure, tingnan niyo yung sagot. Fast forward niyo lang yung video. Ganun lang po, mga sangkay. Okay. So, what is the cube root of 27? Ito po yun. So, that will be 3. 3z. Bakit 3z? Kasi 3 divided by 3 is 1. The quantity 3z plus, gagayahin natin yung sa problem, yung operation sa problem. What is the cube root of 1? That is just 1. Times the trinomial. Instead na titingnan natin yung problem, tatakpan natin, ang gagawin natin, papokusan natin yung binomial. What is the square of 3z? That is 9z squared. How about 1? That will be 1. Just 1. And what is the middle term? That will be 3z times 1. That will be 3z. And since plus yung operation natin sa binomial, yung magiging operation sa middle term or yung sign sa middle term is minus. The rest are positive. Tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Okay, so tama tayo, we will proceed to the next example. This time, dire-diretsoy na natin. Kunyari, master na natin. Okay, that will be the cube root of 125 u cube is 5u. How about v cube? That is minus. V cube is v. Times the trinomial. 5 times 5 is 25 u squared plus 5 uv plus v squared. Tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Ayun, so tama po tayo, The next example, 64 minus w cubed. That is simply, parang naibigay ko na ata to kanina, no? So that is 4 minus w times the trinomial 16 plus, bakit plus? Minus dun eh. Minus dun sa binomial eh. 4w plus w squared. Tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Okay, tama tayo. Okay, next. K cube, m cube plus n cube. That will be k m plus n times the trinomial k squared m squared minus k m n plus n squared. Tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Okay, so tama tayo. Last 3. So that will be p cube minus q cube r cube. That will be p minus q r. Why? Because the cube root of p cube is p. The cube root of q cube r cube is qr. Times the quantity p squared, and then the product of the terms in the binomial, that will be positive p q r. Bakit positive? Kasi yung middle term, pag negative sa binomial, positive dun sa trinomial. The rest are plus. Plus, what will be the square of qr? That is q squared r squared. So, napaka simpleng-simple. Subukan nga natin. Okay, so tama tayo. PQR, Q squared, R squared. Okay. Last 2, T6 or T raised to 6 minus 1. That will be T. We divide 6 by 3. That is 2. T squared minus 1 times the quantity T to the 4th plus t squared. Bakit t squared na lang? Kasi t squared times 1 is t squared. Bakit plus? Kasi minus dun sa binomial. And the rest are plus. Times, what will be the square of 1? That is 1. But wait, there's more. Kasi you have here t squared minus 1. And for all we know, this t squared minus 1 is still factorable using the difference of two squares. So that is also equivalent to t minus 1 times t plus 1 times the quantity. Dito ko na lang sulat sa baba, t to the 4th plus t squared plus 1. Okay, so the complete factor is t minus 1, t plus 1 times the trinomial t to the 4 t squared plus 1. Okay, so tama tayo, no? The last, 8h cubed minus v cubed. So that would be, remember that the cube root of 8 is 2. So that would be 2 h minus v, and then we are going to square the binomial. That will be 4 h squared plus, kabaliktaran ng minus sa binomial, plus 2hv plus v squared. So tingnan natin kung tama tayo. Ayan, so tama tayo. Now, mag-iiwan ako sa inyo ng exercises, home quiz, para sagutan nyo sa bahay. Here are the following home quiz that I'm going to give to you. I want you to factor the following expressions. This difference, sums and difference of two squares into its proper factor. May karugtong yan. That is number 1, number 2, and number 3. Number 4 and number 5, this is a challenge round. So I think Dito sa una, 4 and 5, gagamit tayo ng mga grouping technique. The same way, it follows the factoring technique under the sum and difference of two cubes. For our next discussion, i-share ko naman sa inyo kung paano nire-relate yung sum and difference of two cubes sa mga volumes ng solids. So, in this case, particularly in this case, we will be having the difference of two cubes. So what are we going to do here? In this illustration, we are going to, let us try to imagine a large cube, and let us label the width, length, and the height x. Ito po yun, ano? The width is x, the length is x, and the height is x. Now, let us try to divide this cube into, let us try to divide this larger cube into 27 smaller cubes. So, hati-hatiin natin parang cake. Hati-hatiin natin ng ganyan. Tapos, kunin natin yung isang cube. And then, let us denote the length, the width, and the height of each small cube y. So, ito, yung length niya y, yung what is this, yung width niya, yung lapad niya is y din. So, ito y. Tsaka yung length niya, yung maliit, yung length ng maliit, y din. So, yung malaki, yung kabuuan, ang dimensions niya, puro x, kasi cube siya, perfect cube siya. Yung dimensions naman nung maliliit na cube, bawat maliliit na cube, all in all, 27, bawat isa, ang dimension niya is y, or length, width, and height, puro y. The question for letter A is, what is the volume of the larger cube? So, if we are going to denote the volume of this larger cube, so ito po yun, ano? If the dimension of the cube is x, and x for length, width, and height, that is simply, kasi alam naman natin and from our elementary, na when you're speaking of volumes of perfect cubes, that will be side squared. Oh, side cube, sorry. Side cube. That is length times width times height. For perfect cube, that will be side times side times side. Kasi pare-pareho yung sukat ng kanyang pare-pareho yung sukat ng dimensions niya. Ganyan. So, the volume of this larger cube, since it is denoted by x, that will be x cube. So, yan yung kanyang volume. Ito. Yan. Now, what will be the volume of the smaller cubes? So, the volume of the smaller cubes will be, if the volume is could be expressed as side cube, so the volume of the smaller cubes, yung maliliit, will be y cube. Okay. Now, in the next illustration, yung malaking cube natin kanina, na hinati-hati natin, parang cake, into 27 smaller cubes, yun, hinati natin, crosswise, lengthwise, tapos, pahalang, binawasan natin ng isang cube. Remember, na yung volume ng malaking cube is x cube. Yung volume nung maliliit na cube is y cube. Yung malaki, x cube, yung maliit, y cube. Now, in this illustration, tinanggalan natin siya ng isang cube, binawasan natin siya ng isang cube. So, ayan, no? Yung broken line stands for kung ano yung naibawas natin sa malaking cube. Ngayon, let us try to answer letter C. So, all in all, 27 yan. Nabawasan ng isa, 26 na lang. So, letter C, how are we going to express the volume of the larger cube less a small cuboid? So, in this manner, paano natin ipapakita na yung malaki at kabuuang cube na bawasan ng maliit? So, we will be pertaining to the total volume. The total volume will be x cube, yung malaki, bawasan ng isang maliit. Isa lang. So, that will be minus y cube. Okay, that will be our total volume. Just take note of this. Let us take note of this. Kasi later on, gagamitin natin yan. Now, let us try to answer letter D, E, and F. For letter D, what is the new height less 1 cuboid? On the next, in the next illustration here, we will be investigating, well, how are we going to express a new height less 1 cuboid? So, if this is the height, this is the height, less 1 cuboid will be x minus y. Bakit? Kasi yung haba nito, yung kabuuan is x. Bawasan mo ng ganito kahaba, which is napag-usapan natin kanina, yung haba niyan is y. So that will be x minus y. The new, if we are going to pertain a new height in this corner, just in this corner alone, that will be x minus y. What will be, for letter E, what will be the new length less 1 cuboid for this side only? For this side, pertaining to this side, or for pertaining to this corner, we're going to express the new length. Siyempre, kanina, ang haba niyan is x. Bawasan mo ng ganito. Yan. Yung haba ng cuboid, ng maliit na cube. So that will be, ang magiging bagong, ang magiging bagong length natin is, again, x minus y. And what will be the new width less 1 cuboid? In this corner alone, ito yon. So, ito yun, yung buo, yung buong yan, new width will be x. Bawasan ng ganito kahaba, that will be, again, x minus y. So, let us just take note of this expression. Our new width, or should I say, our new height, for letter D, our new height for this corner alone will be x minus y. Our new length for this corner alone here, yan, will be x minus y. And for this corner alone, let's say it pertains to the width, that is also x minus y. For this corner alone, yung dun banda sa may binawasang cuboid. So let us just take note of these concepts or these ideas na nabawasan yung length, width, and height ng y. Now, ano nangyari dito? Ang ginawa natin, dinivide na hinati-hati natin yung cuboid. Bukod sa binawasan natin siya ng isang maliit na cuboid, hinati-hati pa natin siya into several parts. Itong dark gray, we'll call it volume A. Itong light gray, almost white, we will call it volume B. And yung nasa likod, will be the volume C. So, nung hinati-hati natin siya, sineperate natin siya into 3 parts. Ganito po yung itsura. So, ito yung dark gray portion na kulang ng isang cuboid. Ito naman yung B, light gray. Yung katabi yan ni A kanina. At saka ito naman yung C, yung nasa likod. So, ganun lang po. So, makikita nyo naman yung broken line natin stands for kung ano yung naibawas, kung ano yung portion na nawala. Most particularly with A. Kasi si A, B, and C, nung magkakasama pa sila kanina, talagang binawasan natin, sinadya natin siyang bawasan ng isang cuboid. So, all in all, kung bibilangin natin yung cuboid na to, so, you have 2, 1, 2, 2, 4, 6, tapos pababa, 6, 12, 18. For letter C, we only have 18 cuboids. For letter B, we have 2, 4, 6, plus 18. So, that will be 24. 24 plus 2 cuboid. Ito, plus 2 cuboid. So, that will be 26. All in all, we have 26 cuboid. 26 cuboid less 1 cuboid kasi sinadya nating bawasan niya ng isa. Ngayon, let us try to figure out letter G. How are we going to express the volume of illustration A? Using the lengths x or x minus y or y. So, in this manner, alam naman natin siguro yung dimension kanina nito, ito. Yung x minus y, yung height niya pag nabawasan ng dimension ni y, so that will be x to, x yan, pero since binawasan natin nito, that will be x minus y. So yun yung pagkakapaliwanag natin kanina, Now, let us try to express the volume of A. And that portion alone, what will be the length? The length here, ito, ang haba niya is y. Yung width niya, is also y times y times, kasi alam naman natin na yung volume of this solids, the volume is equivalent to length times width times height. Huwag po natin kalimutan. And the new length, it will be pertaining to the new length, that will be, or we could express it as x minus y. So, this is the length, this is the width, and this is the new height, which is x minus y. Now, what will be the volume of the B? The volume of B, so let us try to investigate again, So, ano kaya yung haba nito? So, ano kaya yung haba niyan? That is y, di ba? So, that will be y. Kasi, para makompute natin yung volume ni B, all we have to do is to multiply its length, its width, and its height. So, what would be the length? Ito, yung haba niya. Yan, yung haba niya. O, tingnan nyo, nabawasan, di ba? May bawas dito. At yung haba niyan is y. So, that will be times x minus y. Eh, ano naman yung height? O, yung height niya, wala namang bawas, di ba? Mapapansin nyo, wala namang bawas. So, that is x times x. Now, what will be the volume of letter C? So, in this figure, in letter C figure, what will be the volume? So, again, this, yung haba niyan is x. Yung taas niya, let's say building to, yung taas niya is also x. X, okay. Pero yung ano niya, yung lapad niya, yung width niya, length times width times height, yung magiging width niya, syempre nabawasan nito. Yan, yung ganyang portion na yan. And take note, itong naibawas, yung dimension na yan is y. So that would also be x minus y. So let us solve this volume of A, volume of B, and volume of C para makinis tingnan. What will be the volume of A? So that will be y times x, or the quantity x minus y. So y times y is y squared times x minus y. Wag na lang muna natin gamitin yung distributive property. Let us keep it that way. How about the volume of B? The volume of B will be x times y. X times y times the quantity x minus y. Again, hindi ko muna ginamit yung distributive property. Hinayaan ko lang muna siyang ganyan para makita natin si x minus y. What will be the volume of C? So again, x times x, that is x squared, tapos hindi ko muna siya i-multiply sa quantity, ganito na lang muna, x minus y. Okay, so we were able to express the volume and answer the questions G, H, and I, the volumes of A, B, and C. So again, take note of this, and take note of these volumes. Now, let us try to investigate. Kanina kasi buo yan, pinagsama-sama natin yan. So that will be the total volume. Take note, less 1 cuboid. Binawasan natin ng isang maliit. Kung babalikan natin kanina, the total volume is equivalent to x cubed minus y cubed. So that will be x cubed minus y cubed. Now, the total volume is expressed as x cubed minus y cubed dahil binawasan siya ng maliit na cuboid. Yung volume ni A is y squared times the quantity x minus y. Yung volume ni B is xy times x, the quantity x minus y. At saka yung volume ni C is equivalent to x squared times the quantity x minus y. Those are the dimensions. Now, let us try to figure out the relationship between these three volumes. Take note, the total volume, nung buo pa siya kanina, is just equivalent to the volume of A plus the volume of B plus the volume of C. Yan. Now, using the expression that we were able to discover, what are the relationship of volumes did we found out? So remember, nung buo pa siya kanina, the total volume less this small cuboid will be x cubed minus y cubed. Ano naman yung volume ni A? Yung volume ni A, babalikan natin yung kanina. Oops, sorry. The volume of A is equivalent to, balikan lang natin yung kanina, that is y squared times the quantity x minus y. Y squared times the quantity x minus y. Yung volume ni B. Yung volume naman ni B, balikan lang natin ulit yung kanina, that will be xy times the quantity x minus y. Xy times the quantity x minus y. At yung volume ni C is equivalent to x squared times x minus y. Ano yung objective natin dito? Ang objective natin dito is ipakita yung relationship ni total volume is equivalent to, pagka pinagsama-sama natin yung mga portions. AB, the volume AB and C. So that is just equivalent to volume A. Logically, that is equivalent to volume A plus volume B plus volume C. Ganon din naman eh. Kasi binawasan lang naman yan ng isang cuboid. Okay. Now, what new relationship can we found out using these volumes that we were able to discover? So that will be, if the total volume is just equivalent to the volume of A, etong figure na to, plus the volume of B, ito yun, portion, plus the volume of C. Let us try to replace all the given variables. That is, what is total volume? Substitute, let us substitute V sub t, that will be x cube minus y cube. O, diba? So, total volume, ito yun, no? Ito yun. Okay. How about the volume of A? That is just y squared times x minus y. How about the volume of B? That will be plus xy times the quantity x minus y. So, yun yung purpose kung bakit hindi ko muna minultiply using distributive property kanina, para makita nyo yung quantity x minus y plus the volume of C, which is x squared times the quantity x minus y. Now, let us try to evaluate this further para makinis, malinis siyang tingnan. So, let us copy x cube minus y cube. Now, may napapansin ba kayo? May napapansin ba kayo sa tatlong term natin? We have 1, 2, and 3 terms. Actually, meron silang common quantity. The common quantity there is x minus y. So, kung i-group natin to, pwede natin siyang ilabas using the property or principle or factoring technique na tinuturo ko sa inyo before, yung greatest common monomial factor. So, that will be, labas natin, ano? Sa pinakalabas, that will be x minus y times the quantity. Ano yung natira sa loob? Y squared xy plus xy at saka c x squared plus x squared. Ngayon, ang pinakalas nating gagawin is ganda natin yung arrangement para makita natin. Pero I hope at this point in time nakikita nyo na yung pattern, ano? So, x cube minus y cube is just equivalent to the quantity x minus y times x squared plus xy plus y squared. So, ang ganda, no? In this manner, we were able to express this relationship and in this relationship into volumes of solid. We were able to relate them into volumes of solid. And this pertains to, hulaan nyo, this pertains to the difference of two cubes. Yan. For the next exercise that I'm going to give you, this will be your home quiz. This time, kayo naman ang gagawa. Using this model here on the right side of your screen, you're going to relate the volume. You're going to solve actually for the volume of this solid plus, kanina kasi minus no? Minus. This time, imbis na bawasan natin siya ng isang maliit na cuboid, dinagdagan natin ng isa. And I want you to relate that following this solution, following this pattern. You're going to solve that, and you're going to figure out how are you going to come up with this relationship. So, para masagutan nyo to, kailangan balikan nyo lang uli yung ating previous discussion in this video. I want you to solve for what will be the solution, or how are you going to arrive at this relationship using the volumes of these solids, particularly the portion A, the volume B, and the volume C, yung nasa likod. Take note, dinagdagan natin ng isang cuboid.